pardon the voice, a little bit of, I don't know, something going around sickness-wise over at a half-court report manor. So just out here chilling on the deck. Hope everybody's having a great Easter. I wanted to, since it's the last day of the NBA regular season, all the playoff matchups are set, all the play-in games are set. We had all 30 teams play today, which was pretty cool. Wanted to go through what I thought were some of the more important games on the Trusteal iPad here, and see kind of what I think is going to happen in terms of these playoff predictions. And I just wanted to go through some of the top games from today. So starting off, let's do Western Conference first, because Western Conference is really interesting, especially when you look at all the playoff matchups. Play-in game, you're going to have the Lakers as the number 7 seed. They'll have home court advantage against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You're going to have New Orleans as the number 9 seed. They'll have home court advantage going against OKC. So, you know, just looking at this, I would expect LA to beat Minnesota. That would put the Lakers at the number 7 seed to have a 7-game series against Memphis, which will be really fantastic series, and as a Grizzlies fan, makes me especially nervous. So expect that to be the 2-7 matchup, and then for the 8-1 matchup, I would actually expect OKC to beat New Orleans, and then, you know, if we're looking at Minnesota versus Oklahoma City Thunder, Minnesota with the home court advantage, I would probably pick Minnesota, but there seems to be some trouble in Minnesota right now. Rudy Gobert punching Kyle Anderson during a timeout today, which, oh man, that Gobert trade is just looking worse and worse for the Timberwolves. But we can expect the Nuggets to probably go against Minnesota for that 8-1 matchup. And then really interesting 4 and 5 matchup, Phoenix versus the Clippers. So one of those teams will not make the second round, which is pretty interesting. And then I think a lot of us would expect an upset, Golden State over Sacramento at that 6-3 matchup. Then in the East, the play-in games, Miami at the number 7 seed, which is interesting. They won their division with a record of 44-38, which is pretty crazy. They'll be going against Atlanta. Yeah, I would probably expect Miami to hold on to that number 7 seed and then face Boston, and then Toronto and Chicago. Chicago's been doing well as of late. Would not surprise me if Chicago ends up beating Toronto. So I think it's really a toss-up in terms of Atlanta, Toronto, or Chicago for that number 8 seed. But I mean, come on, I think we're gonna see an 8 or a 4-game sweep whenever they go against Milwaukee. So those are the playoff matchups. You know, the East is, I think, a lot less interesting than the West, because it's either going to be, I think, either Milwaukee or Philly to come out of the East. Where in the West, you have a lot of possibilities as to, to be honest, would not surprise me if you see Los Angeles coming out of the West. Talking about the Lakers, because I mean they're 8-2 in their last 10. It just seems like they're really clicking at the right time. Apologies again for the sniffing, the hoarse voice. Hey, that's the perils of having a toddler at home. Wanted to look at some of these box scores from today too, since, as I mentioned, we did have all 30 teams playing today. First off, and just want to mention this as a Grizzlies fan, they played the Thunder today. They lost 115-100. the game didn't have any ramifications for any team. But this is so interesting. The Grizzlies played a total of 6 guys in this game. This was the starting lineup, okay? Zaire Williams, Kenny Lofton Jr., David Roddy, John Conchar, Vince Williams Jr. And then they had Jacob Gilliard off the bench, who's a guy they just signed to a 2-way contract literally yesterday, which, hey, shoot your shot, man. He played 41 minutes, 3 steals, 7 assists for Jacob Gilliard. And then Kenny Lofton Jr., 42 points, okay? Career high by a wide margin. This is a guy who averages, clicked the wrong guy, not David Roddy. Kenny Lofton Jr., this is a guy who averages just over 3 points a game, just over a rebound a game, and he got 42 and 14. 17 of 25 from the field, 8 of 12 from free throw line, over 2 from 3, but game of his life. And then Zaire Williams, who hasn't done anything at all this whole year, had 24 points. So then Vince Williams Jr., another career high for him. He's the other 2-way guy. 15 and 8 for him. So really good game for him too. But man, 1 for 14 from 3 for Vince Williams Jr. My goodness, gosh, 1 of 14 from 3. Goodness gracious. And then you had guys for Oklahoma City Thunder, Jared Butler, 25 points. Terrence Mann, first career triple-double, 24, 12, and 12. Almost a triple-double for Ousmane Dieng, 22, 8, and 9. Gosh. And then Olivier Sarr, 22 and 15. It's outrageous, some of the stat lines these guys are putting up in the last game of the season. The Warriors beat the Trailblazers 157 to 101, okay? 157 to 101. Golden State scored 55 points in the first quarter. 55 points in the first quarter. Moses Moody, 25 points. Lester Quinones, 9 points. But look at this Portland lineup. They started Trenton Watford, Kevin Knox, Skylar Mays, who's been playing out of his mind, Shaden Sharp, and Jonathan Williams. Didn't even know that was a name until a few days ago. Jonathan Williams. And they signed a guy today who I saw him in the box score. I'm like, who? His name is Chance Comanche. 6'10" guy out of Arizona, Chance Comanche. But good old Chance, 7 points, 3 boards in 21 minutes. Chance Comanche. Way to go, Chance Comanche. But then, let's see, what are some other games of note? Let's look at the Lakers and Jazz game. I know we have love the Lakers fans love this channel. They can't get enough of it. We'll look at the Utah players in a second. They played the Jazz today. So the Lakers, they signed Tristan Thompson today, and they signed Shaquille Harrison. Doesn't look like either of those guys played in the final game, but LeBron 36, AD 16, Austin Reeves 12, Rui Hachimura 12. Kudos to the Lakers. They weren't resting their stars, that's for sure. And then Utah, Chris Dunn. The Chris Dunn redemption tour continues. 26, 10, and 8. Almost a triple-double for him. He finishes the season. I don't think these stats have been updated yet, but roughly finishes the season 12.5 points, over 4 rebounds, 5.5 assists. That's really good for a backup point guard, and he's shooting 45% from 3. And, he's always been, a guy who can get deflections, get some steals, make some hustle plays. I mean, you would have to think a team would sign him as a backup point guard for next year, right? I mean, I would think so. Nobody else really blowing my skirt up with their stats. Let's see. Clippers played the Suns today. Suns sat all their guys. They started Ish Wainwright, Josh Okogie, Jock Lawndale, Landry Shamet, and Saban Lee. They had Darius Baisley coming off the bench for 16. He was, nope, not quite the game high score, but he was close. Saban Lee at 25. And then the Clippers, they were playing all their guys who were healthy. Kawhi had 25 and 15. You had Russ 25, 7 and 9. Yeah, that'll be an interesting 4-5 matchup. Clippers and Phoenix. I don't know, if they had Paul George, you would definitely have to think the Clippers would get it. But without Paul George, I don't know, it will be tough, especially with KD and Chris Paul and Booker. The thing with the Suns, though, they just don't have any kind of bench, and the Clippers have a really good bench. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. Let's look at I don't know. Let's see who else. Hold on, my iPad is not cooperating. Let's see. Let's look at I think somebody said Kings and Nuggets. Sure, let's look at Kings and Nuggets. Looks like the Kings played all their guys too. Sabonis played, Fox played. They had their typical average. Oh gosh, Denver started Peyton Watson, Bruce Brown, Vlatko Cancar, good old DeAndre Jordan, and Christian Brown. And then Zeke Naji had a game, 18 and 7. Jack White, 8 rebounds, and then he played Icky Thump after, from what I understand. Reggie Jackson, 16 points. So with this, Jokic will officially not average a triple-double because I think he was like 9.8 for his assists, so not going to average a triple-double this year, which that's a bummer. It's always cool when guys can average triple-doubles. But, I've been reading all about, voter fatigue and how this is probably Embiid's MVP to lose. Let's see how, who did Philly play today? Let's see how they did. They played Brooklyn. They beat Brooklyn 134 to 105. Let's see. They, oh, hey, wow, look at this. Mac McClung. Almost a triple-double, 29 and 9 for Mac McClung. That's cool. We had Lewis King, 20 points for Philly. They had a starting lineup of McDaniels. It's the McDaniels brother from Charlotte. Is that Jaden McDaniels? Which McDaniels brother is that? Is that Jalen, not Jaden? Jalen. They started Jalen McDaniels, Daniel House, Paul Reed, Paul from DePaul, Shake Milton, and Jaden Springer. Gosh, poor Jaden Springer played 2 minutes, didn't score. He probably got injured. Then in Brooklyn, they started Yuta Watanabe, Mikal Bridges. Oh, that's interesting. I bet this was one of those things just so Mikal Bridges could keep up with his 83 games and do his Iron Man thing. Like, he hasn't missed a game, I don't think, his whole career. The box score doesn't even have minutes registered. 0 across the board and 1 personal foul. So it seems like, to me, it's one of those things he fouled with like 2 seconds into the game just so he could get himself out. And then that qualifies as a game played, so it's basically like he didn't play at all. Then you have Day'Ron Sharpe. He started. Patty Mills and Cam Thomas. Wow, 46 for Cam Thomas. Raekwon Gray, who they just signed to a 2-way. Almost a triple-double for him. 16, 9, and 7. Gosh. Then you had David Duke, Drew Smith. I worked with a guy named Drew Smith. Different guy, though. Who else? Let's look at Miami and Orlando, and then maybe we'll look at Boston and Atlanta and call it a night. Let's see. Orlando lost to Miami 123 to 110. You had Caleb Houston. Oh, not quite the game high score. Kevon Harris was the game high score at 22. Kevon Harris, I would not know if he walked into this room right now. Sorry, Kevon. Bol, what a fall from grace for this guy. 8, 6, and 5 in the game, and he was doing so well to start off the season. He just poor Bol Bol. And then Miami, they started Hilton Highsmith, Bam, Gabe Vincent, Hero, Max Strus. Duncan Robinson had a 20-point game. Oh, wow, Udonis Haslem, 24 points in his last ever regular season game, 24 and 3 in 25 minutes. 3 for 7 for 3 for Udonis Haslem? Has he ever taken has he ever taken 7 3-pointers in his life? Who knew? Omar Yurtseven, 14 and 7. I feel like he's kind of an underrated player. I feel like he should get some more burn. I don't know. Okay, I got to look at Charlotte because they're a dumpster fire. I just want to see how Charlotte did too. They started Mark Williams, JT Thor, Svi Mikhailuk. Jimmy Books actually had 12 points. Good for him. 0 for Kai Jones. Gosh, could they have bumbled that draft anymore by selecting Kai Jones and James Bouknight? Gosh. Oh, that was a pity. That was a pity. Grizzlies great Kobe Simmons, 8 minutes, no points. Cleveland, they started Dean Wade, Mobley, Ricky Rubio. Nothing super interesting there. Raul Neto had 13 points. Sam Merrill had 17. And yes, I did just want to say Raul Neto. Let's look at... I keep saying I'm going to be done, but then I'm like, oh, let me look at this box score. I'm looking at Atlanta and Boston. Atlanta lost to Boston, 114 to 120. Nothing super interesting with that box score for Boston. Sam Hauser, 26. Mike Muscala, 27. Peyton Pritchard, 30. Wow, the white guys were killing it for Boston today. Goodness gracious. Luke Cornett, 12, 7, and 6. Goodness gracious. And then, what the hey? Let's look at Houston and Miami too, or Houston and Washington. Boban got some burn, 10 points. Nothing super interesting there. They were playing all their young guys, but they actually won 114 to 109. And then Washington, they started Isaiah Todd, Corey Kispert, Xavier Cooks. Was it Jordan Goodwin and Johnny Davis? Johnny Davis has actually done okay these last few games that he's played, so good for him. Quentin Jackson. Oh, nope, not quite the game high score. He had 19. Jordan Goodwin had 22 for Washington. So, let me look at. Let me go to Tankathon real quick. I just want to see what the draft order is going to be after these games. So, and of course, this is before, like, I guess any sort of coin flip tiebreakers or whatever needs to be determined. But worst record, Detroit, 14% chance of number 1 overall, 52% chance top 4. Let me just start this way. So 3 teams with 52% chance of a top 4, and 3 teams with 14% number 1 overall. Detroit, San Antonio, and Houston, all equal odds there. And then after that, Charlotte, Portland, Orlando, Washington, Indiana, Utah, Dallas. If Dallas keeps that top 10 pick, they'll get to select it, and we'll go to New York. Then Oklahoma City at 11, Orlando again because they get Chicago's pick. Then Toronto and New Orleans. That's how it's based off record-wise. So looking at that, looking like the teams with the likeliest odds of Victor Wembanyama, Detroit, San Antonio, Houston, Charlotte, and Portland. I guess it would be best if San Antonio were to get him because he's coming from Tony Parker's league he's the owner for or something. I feel like they would really develop him well. I also feel like San Antonio has they've, I guess, tanked the right way, for lack of a better word, because they haven't, like, blatantly rested their stars like a team like Portland has done. Then Detroit, they already got Cade with the #1 pick. Do they need another #1 pick? No, I don't think so. Houston, I think, would be like the worst place for him to go. Houston is just a mess. And then Charlotte's probably not far behind. Plus, they have Mark Williams. I mean, you know, if you have Mark Williams, what do you win Benyama for, right? But we'll be interested to see what happens with that. Okay, I've gone on long enough. Guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to sub if you haven't already. Like the video. I'm trying to be a little more consistent on the channel again because I've taken some time off, but trying to get back into it. So all the support is very much appreciated. Have a great night. Happy Easter, everybody. And I will catch you next time.